Let's talk about the internet whirlwind that is Stephanie Jenkins, who now wants to be known as Stephanie Freeland. After months of being heavily criticized online, she suddenly resurfaced with a new video, acting like the backlash she's received is completely unjustified. What's even more baffling is that she seemed genuinely confused about why people are still upset. If after everything that's unfolded she still can't grasp the reason for the outrage, then it's no wonder people are calling this latest attempt at damage control tone deaf. Stephanie kicked things off by announcing that she no longer wants to be associated with the name Stephanie Thompson and is instead reclaiming her birth name, Freeland.
I wish I had somewhere more glamorous than a bathroom with a loud glaring vent to make this post that's just been on my mind for freaking weeks now. But this is just how it's gonna have to go down. I've been thinking, I can't really wrap my brain around what people's genuine issue with me is when it comes down to it. And we ain't gonna call me Stephanie Thompson, because just because I'm married to that fool doesn't mean that's how I identify myself. So in this scenario, we're just gonna refer to me as Stephanie Freeland because that's my born given name, okay?
On the surface, that might sound like a woman trying to reconnect with her roots, but it's not that simple. The issue is, she's still legally married to Jeremiah Tyson, a man with a serious criminal background as a registered offender. Nothing about her marital status has changed. She hasn't filed for divorce, and all of her children still carry the Thompson name. So when she suddenly ditches the name tied to her husband and kids in favor of a new identity, it doesn't feel empowering. It feels like an attempt to rewrite history. To many, it comes across as her trying to separate herself from the scandals she's been wrapped up in without actually confronting any of them head-on. People don't forget that Stephanie made a conscious decision to marry Jeremiah despite the very public and disturbing details of his criminal record. This wasn't some hidden truth that only came out years later. It was accessible to anyone willing to look, including her own mother. In fact, her mom reportedly did look into him, discovered exactly who he was, and tried to warn Stephanie. But instead of listening, Stephanie cut her off, kept her pregnancy a secret, and fully committed to this relationship. These weren't innocent mistakes made in the dark. They were intentional choices made in broad daylight, with plenty of red flags waving all around her. That's what makes it so hard for people to accept this new version of her that wants to sweep the past under the rug and just move on. In the video, Stephanie also tried to dismiss a wave of drug use allegations by claiming people are just making assumptions.
So in this scenario, we're just gonna refer to me as Stephanie Freeland because that's my born given name, okay? What do you actually have an issue with Stephanie Freeland for? Think about it for a minute. It's assumptions. You assume I use heavy substances, which there's really even no evidence of that other than your assumptions. And I don't. I've already said I don't. You hate on me for somebody that I married, which if you knew anything about how I was grown up, you might understand why the fuck I didn't even know how to read that about that kind of person. But that's not my thing to carry around. He made those terrible decisions. That's him. That doesn't make me who I am.
She acted like the rumors came out of nowhere, as if the internet just woke up one day and decided to accuse her for no reason. But the reality is, those rumors stem from a very specific incident. There was a video that surfaced where something that looked an awful lot like a pipe was clearly visible sticking out of her pants pocket. Viewers paused the video, zoomed in, speculated, and when those speculations started swirling, Stephanie said nothing. She didn't clarify, she didn't correct the record, she didn't even address it. If it really wasn't what it looked like, it would have taken her 5 seconds to pull the item out and show the camera. But she didn't. Instead, she let the whispers grow into full-blown conversations and now has the nerve to say everyone just made it up. That's the kind of response that people describe as gaslighting, pretending nothing happened and making everyone else feel crazy for bringing it up. And instead of taking responsibility, she leaned into victimhood. Stephanie tried to paint herself as someone unfairly targeted because of her past associations, particularly her marriage to Jeremiah. She implied that people just don't understand her background or the place she was coming from when she made those decisions.
You hate on me for somebody that I married, which if you knew anything about how I was grown up, you might understand why the fuck I didn't even know how to read that about that kind of person. But that's not my thing to carry around. He made those terrible decisions. That's him. That doesn't make me who I am.
But again, the facts say otherwise. She wasn't some naive girl with no access to information. She was warned repeatedly. She had every opportunity to walk away, but she didn't. She made a life with this man, despite knowing who he was and what he'd done. That's why it's frustrating for people to now see her try to detach herself from the consequences of that life, as if just changing her last name can wipe the slate clean. To add to the drama, Stephanie also distanced herself from Alito, Drew's baby mama, claiming that part of his life has nothing to do with her.
Hate on me for Drew and his baby mama drama, which also again has not shit to do with me. That was his past, not mine. You can hate on me for abandoning cats, because I'm gonna freaking hate on myself for that for the rest of my life. I wish that I could have done something different. I wish to God that I would have had another avenue to take in that situation. I'm forever gonna miss those fucking cats.
But by now, the pattern is clear. She's trying to surgically remove every person, event, and detail that reflects poorly on her, but without ever confronting them honestly. It's selective accountability at best. Stephanie can't just pick and choose which parts of someone's life she wants to acknowledge when she's actively immersing herself in their world. She wasn't some quiet observer. She openly inserted herself into Drew's situation, made public videos, commented on the drama, and even went as far as defending him while casually brushing off Alita, the mother of his child. If it was truly none of her business, then why speak up at all? You can't say something doesn't concern you when you've already made yourself part of the narrative. And let's be real, this isn't about an old flame or a long-gone ex. There's a child involved, a child who is very much alive, present, and still needs his father. This isn't some past relationship that's been left behind. Drew's child is part of his current life, and whether she likes it or not, part of Stephanie's now too. By minimizing Alita and the child as just old baggage, Stephanie isn't just being dismissive, she's undermining a child's existence and Drew's continued responsibility as a father. That's exactly why people are frustrated. Instead of showing empathy or even keeping a respectful distance, Stephanie chose to support and cover for Drew's disregard, making the situation worse. That's not strength or loyalty, it's being a willing participant in someone else's harm. And this isn't a one-off mistake, it's a repeated, deeply concerning pattern. Stephanie continues to involve herself with men who carry serious baggage, and it's not because she's oblivious. First, there was Jeremiah, a man with a criminal history that should have been more than enough to raise every red flag imaginable. Despite being warned by her own mother, despite knowing the truth, Stephanie moved forward. She married him. She had children with him. She wasn't fooled, she just chose not to care. Now fast forward to Drew. His background isn't clean either. And once again, her mother raised concerns, and once again, Stephanie ignored them. The results? She's now struggling, raising several kids while hopping between motels. And yet, she's still defending Drew, still holding on to him, and still acting shocked by the criticism she receives. This isn't about bad luck in relationships. It's about consistently making decisions that put her kids at risk while choosing emotionally and financially unstable partners. These men didn't hide who they were, Stephanie simply chose them anyway, and every time, it's her children who end up paying the price. The frustration people feel isn't rooted in hate. It's rooted in disappointment that she keeps prioritizing the wrong things. People are sounding the alarm not because they enjoy attacking her, but because they care about the children stuck in this cycle of instability. They deserve better than to be dragged along behind Stephanie's destructive choices. Then there's the issue of the cats. For once, Stephanie actually admitted to abandoning them, but even then, the way she tried to explain it away was frustrating. She claimed she didn't have any other options and that she wished things had gone differently.
Hate on me for abandoning cats, because I'm gonna freaking hate on myself for that for the rest of my life. I wish that I could have done something different. I wish to God that I would have had another avenue to take in that situation. I'm forever gonna miss those fucking cats. Like, when I break it down, I think most of y'all just hate on me for your own convenience. Because, you know, like, you can use, oh, Resilient Jenkins, this, that, and the third, and you're gonna get the attention that you're so seeking. But really, I've done nothing. I've done not crap. I'm a great freaking mom.
But rewind to when this first came out, and that's not what she said at all. At the time, she completely denied it. She claimed the cats weren't being abandoned and that she was just putting them back where she found them. As if that somehow made it better. She even mocked the situation, putting air quotes around the word abandoned as if the accusation itself was ridiculous. She leaned heavily on a supposed conversation with an animal control officer who told her it technically wasn't abandonment. She used that to justify her actions. But now she's backpedaling, saying she didn't know what else to do. That's not the truth because people offered her help. In the comments, in messages, publicly, multiple people said they would adopt the cats or help find them homes. Stephanie ignored every single one. She didn't try. She didn't ask a shelter. She didn't explore her options. She just left them near a dumpster and moved on. Now, Stephanie's trying to spin a story of regret, claiming she had no other choice but to act the way she did. But for anyone who's been paying attention, this is hard to buy. It's not just a harmless misunderstanding, it's outright manipulation. She didn't stay quiet. She actively lied, tried to twist the narrative to make herself the victim, and only admitted to the truth when there was no longer a way to deny it. Her so-called confession wasn't about accountability. It was a calculated move to clean up her image. Even then, she couldn't fully take responsibility for what she's done. This is a pattern with her always trying to redirect blame, to paint herself as misunderstood, even when the evidence is there for everyone to see. She claims people are attacking her for no reason, as if everyone just randomly decided to pick on her. But let's be real, this isn't random. The backlash isn't about her past, her name, or even old drama. It's about the decisions she keeps making now, the choices that affect her children. She says she's a struggling mom, but struggling implies you're doing everything you can to improve things.
But really, I've done nothing. I've done not crap. I'm a great freaking mom. And maybe this is a fault of mine, but I'm one of those moms that I love my kids. My kids are so much of my life. I don't necessarily even know what the heck I am outside of being a mom. I don't know. What's my interest in my hobbies? All of them are mom related. And I think the reason why this shit has been so heavy on my mind is because I see people message me all the time. I don't even try to keep up with my haters. I really don't. But people let me know, like, hey, this person that speaks on you all the time, they're buying a house, this, that. All these people progressing for using my name and using my content. And I keep thinking, like, what? What's halting my growth? What the heck is stopping me from getting that glow up, that true glow up? Because when you break it down, like I said, I think it's all just for your convenience.
Stephanie isn't doing that. She's leaned on public aid, YouTube money, and the sympathy of strangers to raise her kids in a constant state of instability. This isn't a temporary setback, it's a consistent pattern. Every day, she chooses to stay with Drew, a man who doesn't contribute, doesn't pay child support, and brings nothing but chaos into their lives. Meanwhile, her children are living in motels and enduring a constant lack of stability. This isn't about being hated, it's about the consequences of her actions. People are concerned about the welfare of her kids, and that's why they're speaking up. They see a mother who claims she's under attack, but isn't doing what's needed to change her situation. Stephanie keeps asking what she's done wrong, acting like she genuinely doesn't understand the backlash. But here's the painful truth. She's done nothing, and not in a passive way, in an active sense. She hasn't taken steps to secure stable housing for her kids, find financial independence, or push Drew to step up. She's done nothing to improve their lives. She clings to Drew, even though he's proven he's not capable of supporting them. Her mom, who tried to step in and offer help, was shut out. Stephanie turned her back on her, even when she could have asked her support. And let's not forget about Deshawn, who has a biological mother begging to see him. You'd think, as a mother herself, Stephanie would understand how painful separation can be. But instead, she's chosen to control the situation, blocking any opportunity for reconciliation. So yes, Stephanie has done nothing. Nothing when it mattered most. Nothing when her kids needed her to act. Nothing when people offered help. That's not neglect. It's an intentional choice to ignore the responsibilities that come with being a parent. She can say she's a great mom, but real love and care show in the actions you take to improve your children's lives, not just in words. Stephanie's actions speak louder than anything she says. Stephanie often claims that everything she does is for her kids, but we really need to look deeper at what that means, because there's a big difference between saying it and showing it through actions. Being a great mom isn't just about the basics: cooking, cleaning, changing diapers. Those are the bare minimum every parent should handle. True greatness in motherhood is measured by the environment you create for your children. It's about providing safety, stability, emotional support, and a solid foundation they can thrive on, not one they'll have to recover from later. And right now, let's be honest, Stephanie's kids are caught in a cycle of instability. They're bouncing from motel to motel, with no certainty about tomorrow. There's no safe place for them to play, no stable school routine, and no structure to their lives. Why? Because Stephanie continues to choose Drew, a man who is unemployed and unmotivated, over her children's well-being. She enables his inaction, excuses his behavior, and chooses to remain loyal to him over taking responsibility for her kids. She still defends him, rationalizes his lack of support, and acts as though her circumstances are just random events when, in reality, they're the result of repeated choices she's made. If this is her idea of being a great mom, we have to seriously ask, what does she think bad parenting looks like? From the outside, her kids are growing up in an environment full of confusion, instability, and constant public drama. No matter how much she hugs them or tells them she loves them, that doesn't erase the damage their environment causes. Great moms make sacrifices. They step up, even when it's hard. They put their pride aside to build a better future for their kids. On the other hand, Stephanie makes excuses, points fingers, and prioritizes toxic relationships over her children's future. That's not greatness, it's neglect dressed up as devotion. At one point, Stephanie wondered aloud why she couldn't blow up like other content creators, pointing out how some of them were buying houses, building platforms, and living better lives. But let's break that down, because the comparison doesn't hold up when you look at the bigger picture. When Stephanie had the platform, the attention, and the money, what did she do with it? She didn't prioritize securing a stable home. She didn't invest in her children's future. Instead, she spent money on things like a PlayStation and a jet of luxuries instead of necessities, flash over a foundation. Meanwhile, the same content creators she's now comparing herself to were using their income to create long-term stability. They were building businesses, securing homes, and taking care of their families in tangible, lasting ways. Stephanie had the support. She had people rooting for her, donating, watching her content, and encouraging her to do better. But she didn't take that opportunity. She chose comfort and convenience over growth and responsibility. And now, when she sees others moving forward, she wants to cry and ask, why not me? The answer isn't mysterious. It's not about luck, bias, or hate. It's about making hard choices. She had a chance to change her life, but instead of seizing it, she pulled back. That's why she's where she is now, not because the world is unfair, but because she refused to change when change was within her reach. At the end of the day, Stephanie can complain all she wants about being misunderstood or picked on, but this isn't about her, it's about her kids. They deserve better. They deserve stability. And with every word she speaks, it's clear she isn't planning to change anything. That's why people are upset. That's why she keeps getting called out. Until she starts putting her children's needs first, nothing else she says will matter. What do you think about all of this? Are we being too harsh, or is Stephanie simply refusing to wake up to the reality of her choices? Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's chat. And as always, stay tuned for more content coming your way soon. Until next time, take care and stay awesome.